Today I'm going to be talking about the movie Good Will Hunting. In this movie, there are several interpersonal communication concepts demonstrated, and I personally think it's an amazing movie if you just really want to sit back and take the time. It's two and a half hours long, but it will make you stop and examine your own life because it makes you think, how am I communicating with people? What is my self-perception? How am I perceiving myself? And what do I think I deserve versus what I actually do deserve in life? So in the movie, my favorite part, which kind of sets a running theme for the movie, is when Will and Chucky, which is his friend, childhood best friend, they go up to the Harvard area and they go to a bar. And they're sitting there and Chucky goes to hit on these girls from Harvard. And when he does, this other guy comes up and starts spewing and spouting these facts because he was trying to catch Chucky in a lie because Chucky said he had went to Harvard when he was hitting on this girl. But he actually hadn't. But Will comes up, who's the main character, Will Hunting, in the movie. He comes up and he tells him, he's like, you should never use someone else's work in order to impress somebody, nor should you ever use that to embarrass somebody else. Just because it's not going to matter to you because you're just going to suffer for the rest of your life knowing that you're not the best person. And this is also where he meets Skylar, his future girlfriend, who also is another pivotal figure in Will's life. Because at the end of the movie, Chucky goes to Will's house, and he's not there, and he knows it's because he went to California to see Skylar and live his life, and actually take a step for himself, and make himself have a better life, or at least what he thinks is a better life. So I'm going to go in and examine three separate concepts that I believe all tie together and are really defined in this movie if you take the time to watch it. So my concept number one is culture. DeVito defines it as the relatively specialized lifestyle of a group of people consisting of their values, beliefs, artifacts, ways of behaving, and ways of communication. This is passed on from one generation to the next. So in the movie, Will grows up on the south side of Boston. And in that neighborhood, they call them Southeast, they are primarily Irish immigrants, or they are, 2-3 times removed from the immigration status. But they're hard laborers. They don't have the highest education. They're all impoverished. They're portrayed as violent, rebellious, rough and tough, and just overall just how you would think of when you see a Southsider or the across the tracks type of people. And the other side of the coin is the academic people, because MIT's there, and that's where it's a large majority of the movie takes place is at MIT, and that's where Will was a janitor, which led him onto this journey in life for him. And you have the academics there. They call them the robes due to the robes that they wear. And those are the people that focus on results and overachieving. And you can tell in the movie, in the example I mentioned earlier in the bar where that guy comes in and he's just spouting all off this academic work that wasn't even his own. And they really focus on those results and just showing off with it and showing off that they're smart and they're special and they have an education. So in the movie, Sean, his psychiatrist, uses his psych education in order to get through to Will because Will has an dissociative disorder. And what's later on revealed is that Sean's been through his own trauma. He lost his wife. And Sean uses that after Will pushes him to a breaking point to get through to Will. He uses his own personal life and his culture and the way he grew up to reflect to Will, to get across to him. And I think that's really important in this movie that sees that shows that you're not the only one that goes through things, that suffers through things. So concept number two is self-concept. It's the image of who you are. Your private self is referred to as your perceived self. We are who we believe we are. In this movie, Will doesn't believe he is much of anything. He just sees that he is that Southsider. He is just a laborer, and he doesn't deserve anything more than that. And he knows he's smart, but he doesn't think that he deserves to be pushed the way he should be. He knows he can do these things, but he doesn't have the experience. And Skylar tells him later on, like I said, that he does not he has the knowledge, but he doesn't have those interpersonal communication skills, and he doesn't challenge himself. He's not being pushed. He's stagnant in his life. So it really shows you that you really need to take a step back and reflect on who you are as a person. And concept number 3 is noise. It's defined as anything that interferes with you receiving a message, and that can be physical, mental, psychological, past reflections, which ties into psychological, and that's something with Will. Like, he was abused as a child, and that has really put a damper on him and really changed how he views himself. He just sees himself as a person who won't get much further than working at construction sites around town. This leads to him to have an internal struggle with himself, therefore causing him to struggle with people trying to help him. So he lashes out, he's angry, he's violent, he picks and he digs, and he steps on people's toes and puts his foot in his mouth. It seems that he isn't ready to advance his life by the way he constantly is lashing out, but eventually he does take a step in the right direction. And he finally has to work through what all's going through his head, and that's a huge thing in this movie, is that you can't just sit there and not take the time to work on yourself. But sometimes you have to have other people to do it. And that's why communication with other people can sometimes help you move past the rough things in your life. And that is all I have for this. Thank you.